Welcome back to the Conscious Diva podcast. I'm Tatiana, and today on my show, Christina L. Woods joins me. She is a clinical hypnotherapist, subconscious transformation expert, and founder of Wise Woods Hypnotherapy. After a successful career as a corporate executive, Christina embarked on her own healing journey, which led her to discover the transformative power of hypnosis, subconscious reprogramming, and energy-based healing. In this episode, we demystify hypnosis and explore what really happens when we access the subconscious mind. We also explore the fascinating world of past life regression. If you enjoyed this conversation, please take a moment to leave a review. You can also follow me on Instagram at The Conscious Diva or watch the full episode on YouTube, where we continue exploring the deeper dimensions of conscious living. And thank you so much for listening to the Conscious Diva podcast. Welcome, Christina. Thank you so much
Thank,
for being here.
thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here and to share.
Yeah, well, let's begin. What did you do before you became a hypnotherapist and working in this healing space?
I was a very stressed out corporate woman. I actually worked in the higher education space. And first, I'm a mom. I have two beautiful boys, now young adults. But I worked in the higher education space and I was busy flying around, running teams in sales. And I was very burned out. I would leave agendas and notes and people pleasing and working up teen hours. And I had definitely a moment when I realized, wait a second, is this it? You know, the bank account looked good, everything looked good. And I had a moment when my marriage was falling apart, my health was definitely not good. And, you know, like many women, I think you realize, wow, I've checked all these boxes. Why doesn't it feel good? And I had definitely a moment where I heard a voice that said, you know, when are you going to stop doing what everybody wants? When are you going to do what you want and make yourself happy? So we can talk more about that. But yeah, I was the overperformer, overdoer, and it felt good for a while until it didn't.
Mm-hmm. I feel like, especially with women who move into the healing space, and recently I've had a few different guests that have had this similar path, and a male as well, coming from, a very successful life earlier on, and feeling into the spiritual calling, having this
Yeah,
inner awakening where this guidance, our spirit guides are speaking to us and saying, hey, are you happy? Is this really what you want? Are you doing the right thing? Why are you doing this still?
right.
In various forms of that voice, and ultimately leading down this path of the marriage dissolving and this is what happened to me as well. You're no longer in alignment with that old life. So I'd love for you just
Yeah.
to talk about this, how the recognizing of no longer living in alignment.
When you're no longer in alignment, you know, I actually had what I thought was or was resonating with me as a spiritual practice. You know, I did many things, but I knew deep down I had a fear of going, you know, too deep, looking deep within myself at some things that I knew I had some resistance to. So, but I think when you're out of alignment, you just know you have a knowing that you're out of sync, like things aren't out of sync and you're not living. It's not easy, things aren't smooth, you're forcing, you're in control. And so I had so many moments where it was just reflected back, like, why am I forcing joy? Why am I forcing things to run smoothly? Why do I have to force to hear I love yous and praise? And I'm controlling and manipulating so many things. It was just such a mirror back to me, like, this is exhausting. And what if I just let it all go? What would happen? Would I have people around me that, you know, appreciate and love and all the things I know I want? If I just let it all go, I feel very lonely. I don't feel like any of this is easy. And that is not alignment. That is not what it's supposed to feel like. We know intuitively what flow feels like. So, you know, that voice that I heard, I just knew, you know, you don't know how, you have to just trust that there is something better and in more alignment, and it will all just sort of fall into place. You know, I had an identity and I was very successful, and I could have kept doing that. But to be in flow and just trust that it'll all work out somehow. I'm not the identity of the wife anymore or the corporate person anymore, the with that bank account, but I'll be in alignment somehow. I have a knowing it will work out. So, it's just an ease and a flow that I trust. And there's something more for me. And that more for me was that I knew the story that I'd been telling myself. I knew that a lot of people were telling themselves that, because when I heard the story I was telling myself, I remember saying to myself, oh my goodness, a lot of people tell themselves this, and I feel like I'm meant to share it with them, because this feeling of I'm bad and I'm this, I'm that, it's not even true. I remember distinctly saying, that shit's not even true. And other people are walking around with these silly beliefs about themselves that aren't even true. And that's not okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that is true.
Right. It's not even, that shit's not true.
Oh, I know, it's amazing. It's amazing when you know this, and then once you can be honest with yourself, it's like, oh my God.
Right.
So then how long ago was that? And were you exposed to hypnotherapy? Is that something that helped you yourself that made you then step into this?
Yes. So I was knocking on the door of almost 50 years old. So that was about 8, 9, maybe 10 years ago. I'm 57 now. So I didn't leave corporate right away. I kind of had like an easy exit plan. And yeah, I had someone, the hairdresser knew a healer. I called her. She said, try this hypnotherapist. I thought, oh my goodness, I'd only seen hypnotherapy at the fair and in Vegas. And, I was open to, psychics and healers and different alternative things. But yeah, I went to a hypnotherapist, and the things that she found out, or I saw and felt in an hour, was so profound, and such aha moments in so quickly. And she actually even referred me to do EMDR healing and some other things that she said, you have some trauma and things that I feel like you would actually benefit from other things. So she steered me in a different direction. But just in that 1 hour, it was so incredibly profound. And it actually was about a year or two later, I had some health issues, and I listened to some more hypnosis audios, and doctors couldn't help me. I had vertigo, and I saw about 20 doctors, and it was a hypnosis audio that actually helped me. And I remember going to a doctor, and they kind of laughed at me and said, that's ridiculous. The hypnosis audio is not helping you. It was just kind of whatever, if you think that helps you. And it was a moment where internally, why would you not want this to help me? You want the medication to help me, but you don't want my own inner wisdom to help me. And I that night wrote Marissa Peer, who taught me
just
hypnosis.
about to ask you if that's who you were listening to.
Yeah, I wrote Marissa Peer is going to change my life. And it was about a year after that, I saw her school, and I signed up that day because I wrote Marissa Peer is going to change my life. So that's sort of my hypnosis journey. And it was all these little synchronicities that just had to land and plant little seeds. And I never planned on it, but it's to me, it was the most truest, most simple window into the soul. And and I love her. I've met her. I've had dinners at people's homes in LA with her. I love her. But she even said, this isn't a window into the soul. It's the mind and how the brain works. I personally feel it is a window into the soul, and it's my gateway into tapping into such deep wisdom. And this is one of the gateways in which we do it.
It's really, I'm so glad that that's actually who you studied under, and the practices you did, because I was curious about that. And was that when you were listening to the audio recording? I'm assuming that they were her audio recordings.
Yes.
And was it the one, because I've listened to a few of hers, and there's a couple that were so empowering with this white golden, it's a white light vortex of light that's
yes, it was
clears through your body and realigns, and that is such a beautiful way to start the day. I did it for a while, like
the healing vortex.
Weeks. Yes,
vortex.
And it was so great, and I was just like, oh, Man, amazing.
That's
And
so
what is
funny.
it?
You know that. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I love it. So just explain what that experience was like for you as you were doing that so that listeners can understand this. Because I think there's a misconception around hypnosis. Often people think you've got to, and while you do have to lay down and close your eyes, I think there's a concern that you're giving over yourself to someone. They're
Sure.
going to take control over you, and then they're going to program you with trigger words or whatever that's going
Right.
to, and that's not a thing. That doesn't happen. And when it's
No.
done in a beautiful, safe, held environment, we can truly heal ourselves and have these profound experiences that free our
Yes.
minds from conditioning of our lives. So if you can just,
Yeah.
yeah, explain how this happened for you.
Sure. How it happened for me is it's creating using very visual, powerful, descriptive words because our mind is so beautiful. It responds to very, very descriptive, powerful words. So, in that example with the healing vortex and my vertigo, it was actually a time, just to paint a picture, it was a time when I was going through a divorce. My oldest child was moving away to college. So, I was out of control, vertigo, spinning out of control, losing control. Mommy is leaving the nest, empty, an empty nest. Who am I? Right? All these identity issues. So this healing vortex was washing away, clearing away all of the things that I felt I was losing control of and creating calmness, creating this visual of like a washing machine of the things that were creating toxic feelings in my body and showering me with feelings of calmness. So it's just a visual. No one would sign up to lose control. I'm a bona fide control freak. I would never do it either. So it's creating very powerful descriptive words. Our mind is built to respond to visuals. And so when we're given a guide to do that, it's calming. It feels like you're following a meditation. There's beautiful music to follow. Your nervous system responds. And so this visual of a vortex going around me, cleaning out all the bad thoughts that I was going to be alone. No one was going to love me. It was going to be me and the dog. I had no one, was being replaced with I'm loved. I'm showered with calmness. My son's still going to love me and need me and all the things that literally I would wake up and I would say my vertigo was probably 75% better. How is that? Because our emotions are connected to our body and my body was responding to that. So yeah, there was no control loss. I was gaining control. I was gaining control. My body was responding and my emotions are attached. Our emotions are attached to our thoughts. So yeah, it's descriptive, powerful words that resonated with me. And I think what's particularly powerful about that was a generic audio I found on YouTube. When they're created for you, they're even more powerful because they're specifically made for you. That was a generic one, even more powerful.
Wow. I mean that's a beautiful share. And so when you realized, okay, this is incredibly powerful, I want to use these tools to help others. Plus, you are a Reiki practitioner and you
Mhm.
include other modalities. So how do you now work with clients incorporating hypnosis and these other healing modalities?
Yeah, so many healing modalities and even a coach, high performance coach and so on. So what I do is let's find out, first of all what do you want? Because I never believe that it's about more effort. Even as a coach,
Mm.
I think we're trained as a coach to say, let's put together a strategy and do more, do more.
Mhm.
But I believe it's let's find out what are the beliefs that are blocking and the resistance that's blocking. So let's get to the very root of what are those beliefs that are just blocking your well of wisdom. You have so much wisdom to guide you. And so that we can expand the container so all the flow can come through you because you have the beautiful ability to have this audaciousness about you to go and get the thing that you want, to get the relationship, to have the better sex, to have the more money, to have the whatever it is that you want, to receive the love. Yet there's something that's holding us back and creating us to constrict and be smaller. I want to find out why. And so, and oftentimes, because I work with a lot of very successful women who will even say, I don't even know why I'm calling you. I have a lot of good things in my life and I should just be grateful. We could still be grateful and also want more. So,
Mm-hmm.
for the record, ladies, for the record, men too, for the record, knock it off. We can still have more and want more and be grateful for what we have. So, it's what's that little voice, because it's there for a reason. So I find out the reason, and then I remind people, let's have compassion for why that constriction is there. We don't get angry at why that block is there. We have compassion for it. And that actually melts it away so quickly. Whether we want to call it inner child work or whatever we want to call it, which often it is that. But I think people sometimes will say, I've already done that. I don't want to do more of that. When we offer ourselves compassion for those parts that are protecting us, it just melts like ice so quickly and allows us. So we find the block, we find out why it's there, we respect it, but then we rewire and change it. I create audios for people. They listen to them every day, and we every day rewire and change the dialogue and the thoughts, because our thoughts are shape our reality. Everything in our life, I always think about this. If you print something on your printer, you don't get mad at what you printed. You go into your document, change it, and then you print it again. So if you are looking at your life angry at something, don't get mad at the life, get mad at the thoughts and the beliefs, or don't even get mad. Let's go in and change the thoughts and beliefs. They're there for a reason. Change it, and then you're going to see your life change. The printer, the life.
Well, that's a beautiful approach. And I mean, that's obviously what you did for yourself to learn
Yeah.
how to step into yourself and free yourself and then empower yourself to create space.
Yes. And it can be scary. So,
Well, it's the unknown. How is it going to be? It's stepping forward into a space that you haven't come from. Oliver Nino, who's known as the spiritual activator, he tells the story of how before he became known as a spiritual activator, he had a successful marketing company that made a lot of money, and he was like just this sort of secret, a closeted spiritual, a healer, and I was healing people on the side, but still running this business. And he said there was, this, he referred to it as the golden cloud, this sort of safety net of, leaving this umbrella, this safety
oh,
net of
sure.
knowing, and then having to trust what you can, that you're opening up to your spiritual gifts. And so how does your family feel? You went through a divorce. How were your boys? Were they like, what are you doing? Like life is different. Like, how did it affect them?
It affected them greatly. It's a big transition in life.
Mm-hmm.
And, divorce isn't easy. I was married 25 years, so this is a big deal. But, it was actually one of the biggest reasons I made the biggest changes, because I think, we're always told to model and not just, and everyone's watching. So, that was a big motivator for me. And it slowly became, the dialogue was, wow, you've really shown me what it is like to follow your dreams, even if you're afraid. And, I was in, like I said, the higher education space where diplomas and degrees and credentials were everything. And now I am, doing theta healing and channeling and
Stuff that looks like woo-woo. The
very,
opposite.
very, very woo. And,
Uh-huh.
mom's a Reiki master, and mom, what are you doing? And, that type of thing. Like, mom, are you like the guy at the fair now with hypnosis and so on? And to now they're referring their friends to me. And when my son was in college during COVID, it was like, hey, mom, some people are not happy. They have a lot of anxiety. Can you do something for us? And so I saw the doors slowly opening. And I think, if anything, it's shown them that whoever you are, I have one that is probably more open than the other. And that's okay, because the message is just be who you are. And this is who I am. And, and now I get crystals for Christmas and yeah, those types of things, because in books that they know resonate with me. And this is me being me. And I think this is invaluable, because I want them to be who they are as well. And
Mm.
that entrepreneur inside of me, they're proud that I followed my dream. And I think for a while, I think this is important too in the journey. For a while, I probably blocked and just protected them from some of the scarier moments of, boy, I'm leaving a paycheck. I'm creating my own, and some of the dips in the business. And then I decided at some point that's not doing anybody any favors. So, I started to have the dialogue like, yeah, this is not always rosy or easy, and sharing the realness, because if they're having a dip in life, I don't want them to feel like they're a one-off, or that's not normal. So I have those hard conversations with them too. And that's me releasing the perfectionist, right?
Yes.
Releasing the protective mom and saying, all right, grown-ups, let's have real conversations. Businesses and life is not always easy, and this is okay. This is okay.
Yes, I love that. Thank you for sharing that, because in that in itself is a really empowering message. And it
Yeah.
brings you closer to your children because they're totally trusting you. They're seeing you. Okay, maybe in the beginning, it's scary for them because that family dynamic is no longer there. But
Very.
over time, they can actually see how you took a step to empower, and claim yourself back. And now
Right.
there's a result, there's a reward of that. And they also get to be the, recipients of all of that amazing
Right.
love that's coming through you and everything that's just happening. So I love that story. Thank you very much for sharing that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
beautiful.
you.
So now, with like hypnosis, I think is so interesting, right? And I think and I said it before, there's misconceptions around it, but I think it is misunderstood in terms of what happens. So you just explained what you do with clients. When you were being guided down this path, was that the thing that was really calling you? Because did it impact you the most of all of the modalities you were doing to heal yourself? Is that why you wanted to teach or work with other people?
It is what spoke to me the most. I actually had some abuse and trauma that I actually suppressed until I was almost 50. And when it came out, I had realized how much it had shaped so much of who I was. And, when you realize that your identity was so protected by something that happened to you, and your identity as an overachiever, and that overachiever and overdoer is so rewarded in the world, but when you look back and you dig deep and you find something, that's when I realized, wow, hypnosis is such a, like I said, an easy, simple way. And I still go to therapy. I still have talk therapy. There's so many other modalities that are beautiful and perfect, and at the right time for the right person. But hypnosis is definitely a very simple, authentic, easy way and fast way for people to actually identify exactly what is going on. And I just believe that, gone are the days that we need to take years and years to find out what is holding us back. And for me to realize that I had, I think this is something you think in the movies. How could you suppress something for so long? That's what I thought. I'm like, but it happened to me. I had suppressed something. And when something came back, I thought, wow, if it can happen to me, I know it's happening to other people. And even if you haven't suppressed something, to realize that it had literally shaped who I was, decisions I made, the way my marriage, who knows, maybe my marriage wouldn't have failed. Maybe the way I raised my children would be different. The ups and downs of financial debt and this and that, and my health, and so many decisions. And it's a journey that, I have no regrets over, but I think it's important and valuable. So yes, hypnosis was very intentional for me. And I think it's great that there are options for people. And I love clearing up the mystery around hypnosis, because no one again would sign up for losing control. And it's a very fast, effective way. And it's also a very healing way. And I do mix in energy healing. I do mix in other things. But at the end of the day, we have the answers inside. And so when we just quiet the conscious mind, our conscious mind is our logical mind, we just kind of quiet the chit chat. I mean, we're all always talking ourselves of, yeah, I know my parents got divorced, or I know that thing happened to me. So, that's probably why I do that. That's probably why I procrastinate. I'm just scared to get out there and do that thing. Well, actually, it might be, let's even go deeper, quiet the conscious mind and allow those hidden parts we can go in, and really find out even more.
I did a bit of hypnosis maybe 10 or so years ago. I really wanted to understand some patterns about myself.
Mhm.
Why do I keep repeating this? And
Yes.
so I did some hypnosis, and it was different because the reason I wanted to experience that was just out of curiosity. I thought, okay, well,
Mhm.
it's not harmful.
Sure.
Nothing bad's going to happen here. And I was stepping into doing channeling work. I used to work in television as a producer, and I was starting to open up to my, like, really being guided in this direction of channeling my spiritual gifts. And it's hard to do that on yourself.
It is. It
It's hard to just, like, you can apply it to a degree, but you need someone else to kind of, help.
You do.
And so I just thought, okay, I'm going to try, just let me, like, I can be guided in hypnosis to access these aspects of my subconscious that I know are sitting there and I just can't get to them. Like, what is
Yeah.
it? And so I did this, and it was really profound. The guidance of going back, the visuals, and there was a combination of either steps that walking backwards or an elevator going down. And the
Yeah.
imagery wasn't scary. It was beautiful. It was almost like I was going, into the earth, but into this beautiful, like, forest, like, with, like, moss and very magical. So I
Yes.
felt safe. I didn't feel, like I was going into a scary dungeon and there were all these
No,
demons
no,
and
no.
whatever, like
Yeah.
things, like, maybe that has happened for some people. Because when years ago when I described that, I had a friend say, "Oh my God, that sounds so scary. Where did I'm like, no, 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 it's not scary." And I think your mind will take you where you want to go with that.
And that's the best part. Yes. Yes. I help a lot of people open up their intuitive gifts, their clairs, things like that. In fact, when you said that, I was thinking of a client recently I'm working with who is, when you're opening your gifts and they're there, it can be, I'm not as intuitive as the other person, or I don't know where to start or where to go or where to practice. And so, yes, that's exactly what we're using hypnosis for. And I just got a message from her. She is an animal communicator. And she said, "Oh, I just had something happen where a cat showed up and was showing me something with her little belly. And she actually helped save a cat and called her friend and took it to the vet, and the cat had eaten something, but we're opening up her gifts, and we used hypnosis to do that. And it was just opening her up to what did she need to believe differently about trusting herself, what was just blocking to trust herself. As I get to know clients, you do learn, okay, water might be scary. So I'm not going to take you down a place where we're going to go into the ocean or the beach, or a dark, I'm not going to take someone in a dark, scary forest if that makes them nervous. So,
Or a
you know,
cellar.
yeah, no, none of that. None of that. Yeah. So the combination of energy work and hypnosis, to me, just 10x is hypnosis,
Yeah.
because I'm able to read and feel energy and intuitively feel into how to navigate hypnosis
Mm.
and clear energy at the same time, and what intuitively is coming up, and ask more intuitive questions that come up in hypnosis, and just really really get very specific. And it's just been a beautiful gift and journey as my intuition has really, as I trust it more and more. And yeah, it's really beautiful.
Oh, I love that. And the experience with the way Marissa Peer. Now, when you were learning her, did she teach you her technique of rolling your eyes up, looking up, and I've listened to a number of her programs. They're on Mind Valley, actually. So you can go,
Sure.
you have the Mind Valley, subscription. There's quite a number of things. So I listened to a lot of them there. And so is that how do you use that, but then intuitively you've developed your own method?
Yeah, I actually learned a couple different methods and then have adapted to my own. But I originally started learning Marissa Peer's rapid transformational therapy, which is fantastic. And yes, you roll up your eyes, so it's very, very quick. And Marissa is just so wonderful. She's so bold and direct.
Yes,
Like,
isn't she?
oh yeah,
I
she's
love how she
hilarious.
speaks, just like,
She's like, get over it. We're
yeah,
getting to the core really quick.
yeah.
Let's do this.
Mhm.
So I originally trained with her, and then I trained with a shamanic healer and learned medical intuitive technique, which is also a hypnosis technique of
Mm.
getting clients in and scanning. And we literally meet your intuitive guide to take us somewhere and meet the wounded self. And so that's also a hypnosis technique I learned. And I'll just feel into which method is going to help a client feel the safest and the method that's the safest for you to feel. Because even if you are more, say, woo or energetic, I might say, you know what, I feel this method is going to actually get you where you need to go safer, so I respect both methods, and sometimes the method that I've created is the one we go with.
Hmm. And what do you want people to really know about hypnosis or these other modalities?
The wisdom is in the, I'll say, the wound. The wisdom is in what you feel you're up against. And so the knowing is in there. And if you have the courage to find someone to guide you there, you have the answers within. I know that sounds very cliche, but this is a natural process. Hypnosis is very, very natural. It is not a scary process. You actually go into a hypnotic state, or I'll just say these brainwave states, every night when you're fading and going to sleep. So it's natural. This isn't a trance. You can't get stuck in it. We watch Netflix a little bit too much. And so it's a very, very natural state. And, that's a really nice thing to know. It's natural. Your body knows how to do it and your mind knows. So we just ask some questions and your mind will take you, you said it earlier, exactly to the place that you need to know to get the answers.
Mhm.
So I don't go with any preconceived idea of what and where we will go. I'm always beautifully surprised with what comes up. It's incredible.
I think what we've become so used to in modern times now, particularly in the West, is hacks. Right? We want a hack. We want it to be fast. We want it to be today. It's got to be instant. Nobody wants to do the work, right? Because when you're doing the work and I shouldn't say nobody, of course I'm generalizing,
Right.
but there is that, right? There's definitely this, but I just want to do it now. Like even years ago when I was working with my teacher, who's a 27th generation Nepalese shaman,
Wow.
I'm like, I just, wanted to know something. And he's like, journey on it, journey on it. I'm like, journey on
Right.
it. Like, no,
I
can you
agree. I
just tell
agree.
me, just tell me, no, like you have to figure it out, tune in, do the work, journey on it. Even it's going to take time, but you must do this. You have to go inward. You have to feel into that experience. There, of course, are other things, but the beauty of hypnosis, it's not a hack. While it is quick, there are still
Not a hack.
you still have to process, allow. It guides you to that place where
Yes,
you can discover the answers, right? And then that will come up and you have this aha, this epiphany. Oh, God, that's it. Yes. You feel it, you know it as truth in your body. And then, okay, now what? What's the next step? What's the
exactly.
next step? Mm.
Yes, it's not a hack. And you're so right. People will say, I need to find my purpose. Will hypnosis help me find my purpose? It will guide you on the journey to trust yourself. What is blocking you from trusting yourself? But this is a journey. It is not going to say, yes, you should be a this. You should be a that. Your next purpose in life is to be a teacher. This is not what you're not going to go in hypnosis and say, oh, I should be, should open a garden. It's a journey
Yeah.
and a process to do this. And so yes, we can go on that journey. And I believe it is a somewhat quicker one because we're blocking out the criticism, the judgment, the fears, those things.
Yeah.
But it's still a journey.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad you said that.
It is a journey, and sometimes when the messaging, well, not sometimes, often when the messaging arises, comes in, you attune yourself to hear it. You're either you're feeling it, or you
Yes.
literally are hearing it as literal messaging from your spirit guides. It can be both cryptic and straightforward. It can be like
Yeah.
you've got to figure it out still, or do this, or whatever it is, and it's quite amazing how that can arise within us,
Yeah, yeah. And we're scared of our power. So
Mm,
I believe one of the best questions that we ask in hypnosis when we're, you know, speaking with the wound, or, if even if I'm speaking with someone about what is the root cause of their migraines, if it's a physical issue
mm,
or procrastination or
mm,
something, and it's like, why are you here to enlighten me? What are the lessons? Why are you here to enlighten me and teach me? And that will give us so much information. But people will often say, okay, now what? Now what? Because it's so powerful. We actually then have to make decisions and do something with it. Or we have a choice. We don't have to, we have a choice, but our power is often right there, and we are so powerful that it's like, well, wait, no, I don't want to have to do that. I don't, I have to step into so much courage now. Or can you just tell me what I have to do next? It's like, well, what was the gift in the wound? And that can feel big, and that's the journey, right? That's the journey. It's like, just, you don't have to do it tomorrow, but that's the journey of the courage and the process to get there. It's your journey. It's
that's
not my journey.
That's exactly right. And the journey, I mean, look at, this big epic movie coming out this summer, right? The Odyssey. This was a journey, it's a myth, but it's also one of the most famous journeys of all time, the hero's
Yeah.
journey.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
we're all going on, we can all step into, we're all the heroes of our lives and can go
Yes.
on our own journey. And that journey isn't like a quick, especially if you're doing this work in your 50s or 60s or whatever, there's a lot to look back on in order to move forward for the rest of your life. So that process has to be handled with such from a place of love and compassion, which so many of us have
Mm-hmm.
forgotten that we have. Sort of awaken and guide. You do need a safe space to understand, to be held, and so that you can
Mm-hmm.
feel really in this beautiful space of just, okay, I'm okay. I can come through and I can do this, and allow that nervous system to just settle so you can move into that
Right.
space of love and
Right.
awareness, right?
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Yes.
Yeah. So talk about the Woods Way.
Yeah.
I
So
love this name, by the way. I love your
oh,
last name,
thank
Woods.
you. So
It's
yeah.
it's great.
It's this combination of energy healing and hypnosis. And so oftentimes what I find is those energy blocks, and really allowing people to pause in the journey and moving into inner child work, moving into inner parent work, moving into really, holding space for anger, moving into holding space for some really, really big emotions that come up. So the Wise Woods way is saying, because I find, and even in RTT, I will find, okay, you're angry at your mom. Let's give it to her. Let's give it to her. It's like, okay, or we have to forgive. Before we forgive, we might need to be really, really, really angry. We need to give a voice and allow the voice to come through. So I'll spend a lot of time and meet with clients for periods of time and do a process of generational healing of anger, or generations of feeling of I have to be the caretaker. So releasing generations and downloading what it even feels like to be allowed to do something. So it's kind of the layering of letting go of, but this is who I am. So just kind of layering and feeling what that looks like. So it's peeling the onion of some of the energy behind, and not just saying, okay, you did some inner child work. I'm going to go and visit my inner child and do some coloring with her, and that could be good, but she's still really pissed off. Let's give her a voice. And that's not easy work to do. And really allowing her to speak and hold space for that. We're afraid of our own anger, even to really hold space for that and let loose. And it isn't about how hard you can cry. It's about allowing the expression of what does that literally feel like and look like. And I account this
Well, I just have a quick question about that. Sorry to
yeah,
interrupt you, but so when that anger is arising in a client,
yeah.
in the moment, whether they're with you in person or over Zoom, are they actually getting angry and like feeling that? And then are you helping them process and release, which I'm assuming yes, but are they then you're done with the session and they're going out into the world and are they angry? Are they like leaving? Because you don't want someone to drive home and have a car crash because it's so
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, not leaving like that. Yeah, no. So it's mostly virtual, but definitely sometimes in person. But it's holding space for them to get, yeah, as absolutely angry and as big and upset as they need to be. But I think even many times we don't allow them to get that angry or say all the things that they really want to say. But it's also what did they make you believe? How did this influence your life? What decisions did you have to make? How did this impact your body? Because we don't even express, by this anger, you made me believe this about myself. This
Mm.
impacted my body. We don't connect the dots.
Mm.
Actually, it made me feel this way. It impacted my body this way. That's when the intuition will come in and say, you actually made me hold my body really tight and it impacted my body this way. It actually created this. You made me hold back and actually made me make decisions about my marriage or made me feel like I had to do this and this and this. And that's actually when you start to really express, I had no idea I even made decisions based on that.
Yes.
I didn't even know that I actually was doing it because of that.
Mhm.
So it's guiding them through because just getting mad, okay, I'm tired of getting mad. I don't want to get mad anymore. I'm done. But how did it impact you? How did it impact your life? So that's just one example of a layer that we might go through.
Oh, that's so well described. Thank you. That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing that with myself and would have moments not using the same languages, but would recognize. And then I would give air fucks to my ex-husband. I would be like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
having
yeah,
these
yeah. Oh, I
moments.
got you.
And then
Yeah.
I'm like, gotta clear it. Okay.
Right.
Go
Yeah,
out.
I can't
Yeah.
be like this. I can't be like this. But
No.
how did it impact you? How did it
Yeah.
impact your body? What
Yeah.
decisions did you make?
No.
That type of thing.
Beautifully described. No, thank you.
Great, great.
Sorry, I know I had totally interrupted you. You were on a
No,
flow
that
about
was
how you were
perfect. That was
describing
perfect.
the
Yeah, no, it was
but
perfect. It was
I just
perfect.
didn't want people to think, oh my God, I'm going to do this and this anger's going to arise and then what? How do I carry on in my day?
Yeah, yeah, and yeah. And it's even is it okay to talk about past lives and that type of thing?
Absolutely. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's even that's even a good example because I've done many past life regressions or had them done with me. And I think, many times you go and you visit them and it's okay, nicey, nicey. But, unless we resolve the past life, unless we find the lessons in the past life just continues. So, it's very, very important. Did the soul go to the light? What was the lesson? Why are you here? What are you here to resonate and show me? That's really important to complete it. And even I'm guilty in the beginning of my career. It was like, okay, we saw something in the past life. What did we see? And through my journey now, it's hold on, we're not done. We might stay in that past life for 2 hours,
Wow.
because we really need to see the lessons. We really need to see how has it enlightened me, and let's make sure that they've gone to the light. And what are we here to show me and teach me? And if not, we're going to go another session. We're going to do it again. And I think it's really important because that's when we see things being repeated and repeated for generations. And we
Mm.
need, right now, there's so much generational, we're ending so many and healing so many generations right now.
Yes, yes. And thank you for bringing that up because I don't think people realize through hypnosis you can have these past life experiences. I think that the past life work almost gets put in its own bag. And there are people who really specialize in doing that, but through
Yeah.
hypnosis you can absolutely, I mean, there's a gentleman from years ago who's no longer alive, Dick Sutphin, and he's
Mhm.
you know, are you familiar with his work? And he uses hypnosis or used hypnosis, and there's a lot of his guided recordings that you can listen
Yeah.
to. And they are, I think they're actually on the Hay House app. I think Hay House acquired all of his recordings. And
Wow.
so you can listen to those and they really take you. I've listened to some of them and they take you into, you know, past life experiences that, I mean, I had no idea was going to come up. And that was listening to a recording, you know, that wasn't in a live session with somebody.
In a
That,
live session.
yeah. So I was like, whoa, that's crazy.
Great. It's
Um,
such healing. Yeah.
So just when you're with a client, do you know in that moment, is it when you start working with them that that's where just it organically is led during the session, it becomes about exploring these past lives? Do they arise or do they say to you, I feel like I'm repeating something, I really want to understand why?
Both, but I typically it will arise.
Mhm.
And so it's typically, whether it's this life or another life, it's all your life.
Yes, yeah.
And but often I feel, if we have a belief, this is another life, this is another life, this keeps happening. I think even in this life, it's important for us to resolve that. Otherwise, the belief is going to keep coming up that I didn't resolve something in another life. So
Mm.
will the dialogue we're having is that it's another life. So we need to resolve it. But if I find that someone says, I have to resolve this thing in another life, I do kind of want to explore, why are we so hung up on that it's this other life? That's fine, we can go do that, but I like it to come up organically.
Okay, so I mean, on your website, you don't have past life regression as something, but you clearly work in that space.
Oh, yeah, I would say daily it's coming up.
Mm.
And, in some hypnosis sessions, we go back to more, many moments. So two might be past lives, one might be, third grade here in this life. And oftentimes it might just be one life that we're going back to. So all of it is very unique and very different, but absolutely going back to even other dimensions and other times. So yeah,
I,
all of it.
you know what's quite fascinating? I think a lot of people think that they were like, you know, some royalty or like a member of the Egyptian, you know, like a
Yes,
pharaoh.
they
You know,
do.
I think a
Yes,
lot of
they
have
do.
this kind of conception. And why is that? Why does our brain just go to this place of like, you know, no one thinks, oh, you were a pauper or you had this other suffering, this other, everyone just
Yeah,
goes to this place of, oh, I was a regal something in another
they
life.
really do. They really do. I was this Egyptian,
Yeah,
so
and
and
it's always
so.
Egypt.
It is always Egypt. It is always Egypt. I was the queen and my lover was the king. And yeah, I was. I was. Yeah. I wish I knew, but I feel like, yeah, it's more the glamorous kind of the spiritual bypassing perhaps or something. Yeah. Yeah, but it's definitely not what I usually see. It's usually a little boy with his shoes are worn and underneath the staircase, or just, a regular, a typical person walking down the street, yeah, in another life. So
No,
yeah,
it's such
yeah,
a fascinating concept.
yeah,
It really is.
it is.
So how can people find you? And is there anything you really want to like, tell people that you don't think we covered today?
Well, they can find me. My website is ChristinaLWoods.com. And I actually have a free, it's called the Reset Room, every week for 40 minutes, every Thursday at 4 o'clock. People can sign up, hypnosis and healing, just kind of get a feel for it. So I want to offer
Oh,
that to everyone. They can sign up. And what do I want them to know is that hypnosis is natural. It feels just like if you were to put on some nice music, very calming, very soothing. It doesn't feel scary. It's not forced. It's very natural feeling. And there's so much wisdom and answers within. And so it's like tap, 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 let's ask a question. And then you just go right there. And it doesn't, and we're talking the whole time. So I think that people don't realize, you can hear the dog barking, you can hear the blower outside, you're not in some hypnotic trance that you're not, understanding anything. We're chatting away the whole time. And so I think that's kind of comforting to know this is just a normal conversation. You're just in a different little brainwave state that allows you to not let all the little judgment and criticism. We just kind of make that go quiet and go to this place that is tap, tap, tap. Just give me the wisdom I need to know.
Thank you. I love that. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So lovely. And I would imagine your sessions are so held in a really beautiful, loving space. And you have such a beautiful, loving energy. So I can imagine they would just be the same.
Thank you. Thank you. I do. I feel like I have a gift for just helping, just adapt to help people feel comfortable and yeah, really find whatever it is that they need to find to help them get to the next place in their life, whatever that might be, if it's confidence or relationship or wherever they want to go.
Well, I really enjoyed this conversation with you today. It was fantastic. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. You have great questions and insight, intuitively led, I can tell.
Thank you so much.